Tonight on the News Hour. Niger tanker explosion death toll climbs to 98. The Nigeria Communications Commission has approved tariff hike by 50%. Donald Trump, sworn in as 47th United States President, declares start of America's golden age. Ghana Army kills 7 at Anglo Gold Ashanti mine. Hello, good evening and welcome to the News Hour live on Trust TV. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We'll begin in Niger State, where the director of the Niger State Emergency Management Agency has provided a grim update on the devastating tanker explosion in the state. As of 12 p.m. on January 20th, the death toll has risen to 98, with 68 others injured. The explosion also destroyed 20 shops, inflicting severe losses on local businesses. Describing the incident as a, quote, catastrophic tragedy, the Director General of the State Emergency Management Agency says the state has been plunged into mourning. He also added that the rescue efforts are ongoing, with emergency responders working tirelessly to provide medical care for the injured and recover the bodies of those who died. Well, let's speak to our correspondent. Abubakar Akote has been giving us an update on these developments since the matter unfolded. Abubakar Akote, thank you so much for taking the time. What can you tell us about some of the comments there from the Emergency Management Agency? How critical is the condition of those who are still receiving medical attention?
Those that are still receiving medical attention since yesterday been transferred to Canada hospital. That was where at the head of the hospital, most of the victims sustain above 70% or 70 degrees, which also some people that were taking traditional statistics by their relatives.
Okay. Abubakar Akote, just hang on a moment, because we're struggling to get a clear sound quality from your audio. I believe perhaps maybe is the network quality, but I'm going to need you to just recap that again. The situation of those still receiving medical attention, you're just giving us a breakdown of where some of them have been relocated to. Let's try again and see if we can hear you clearly. Hello, Abubakar Akote. Well, that's unfortunate. I believe we've lost our connection to our correspondent, Abubakar Akote, who has been reporting on the devastating incident of the tanker explosion in Niger State that has claimed the lives of at least 98 persons so far, according to the Emergency Management Agency. And most of those who have sustained injuries are still being hospitalized. To some of the day's other news, the Nigeria Communications Commission has approved a tariff hike request by telecommunication companies, according to the Commission spokesperson Ruben Moka. The approval was granted under Section 108 of the Nigerian Communications Act of 2003, which empowers the NCC to regulate and approve tariff rates and charges by telecom operators. Moka explains that the request was driven by prevailing market conditions. He also emphasized that the NCC carefully balanced the need to protect consumers while ensuring the sustainability of the telecom industry, which includes thousands of indigenous vendors and suppliers critical to the ecosystem. The Plateau State government has intercepted suspected traffickers who allegedly lured underage children from Langtang South local government area of the state for trafficking. Confirming the incident, the Commissioner for Women Affairs, Caroline Panglang, revealed that the victims were rescued at a Lagos park in Jos, and one suspect was arrested at the scene. According to the commissioner, the children were said to be, quote, way-billed to Lagos State to work for an unidentified woman. She disclosed that the alleged trafficker, Manwo Ayuba, was apprehended by the Joint Task Force, describing the act as a serious crime against the state.
I now saw these young tarot girls. I noticed something about them because I now asked, who are they traveling with? And then I was told, nobody. I said, you are traveling, nobody. How are you going to do? Where are they going to? And all of that. So they said they gave them, the other one removed a piece of paper, and then she showed me a contact of somebody, from Lantan South, and then another contact in Lagos. And when she gets to Lagos, she called. And I asked, where is your phone? They don't have a cell phone. Have you been to Lagos before? No. In Jos, say this is our first time in Jos. They don't even know anybody. One of them cannot even speak Hausa, not to talk of English. She can only communicate in Tarok.
We are very serious about this child trafficking issue. The administration of His Excellency is not like the previous administrations that don't care about all these things. He is very serious, and anybody that is caught in this act is going to face the full wrath of the law. We're going to get the agents by the grace of God this night. We'll make sure we pick her up this night, and then we'll be able to know who she is sending this student to in Lagos. And we'll also liaise with our liaison office in Lagos, so we'll see how we can pick the agents in Lagos too. This have to stop. We can't continue like this.
So I'm sorry for that, because I don't know. Her mother told me she's 16 years and she's the one that gave me the child, not the me worker.
In other news, residents of Lagos State have called for urgent reforms in Nigeria's criminal justice system, decrying the prolonged detention of individuals awaiting trial, even for minor offences. They also stress that the need for the Lagos State government to conduct regular case reviews to ensure fair and timely justice for all. Here's a report.
Mbani Nicholas Ugochukwu, a victim of the tragic events that unfolded during the EndSARS protests, recounts his harrowing experience of wrongful arrest, prolonged detention, and the deep trauma of awaiting trial. His story tragically reflects a systematic flaw in Nigeria's justice system, where countless detainees endure indefinite imprisonment while awaiting their day in courts, sometimes for years.
That Chimezie Ugumba was a guy that I was joined with in the court as a casemate, that we committed the same crime. Somebody I have never seen in my life, I have never met before. When I even asked the boy about his own experience or the reason why he was brought there, he told me his own story, that he's a keke driver, that only that inside his keke he shouted EndSARS, EndSARS inside his keke. They stopped him and started beating him. That is how he saw himself in the police station. So when we were discussing all these things, little did we know that we will be joined together as casemates, just like that.
He urges the government to address the systematic failures within the judicial system, ensuring that innocent citizens are not subjected to the injustice of prolonged detention without due process.
People that will experience this kind of issue, it will be hard for them to forget. So government should really prevent such thing from happening. They really need to make sure that anybody being given charge, they investigate. Somebody that deserves to be charged to prison needs to be investigated to know if really he's worth it, or he committed the crime that warrant him to be there.
A member of the Take It Back movement and coordinator of its Lead Way committee, Damilare Adinola, echoed these concerns, drawing attention to the systematic failures within Nigeria's criminal justice system. Adimola highlighted the plight of individuals facing prolonged trials or unjust detention, urging the government to prioritize urgent and comprehensive reforms.
Until you are proven guilty, the law should protect your right, and this includes your liberty. But what do we see? We see a lot of our waiting suspects languishing in jail for years, 3 years, you know. And there's also the part of the police who do not diligently prosecute suspects. There should be punishment for such prosecutors.
A concerned Lagos resident, Kunle Ajayi, also raised alarm about the growing concern of individuals being detained for minor offences that should never warrant incarceration.
I've been in detention before, and I've met a lot of people that are in detention over cases of night crawling, things that are usually even not in tandem with the Constitution. So for me, on awaiting trial and the rest, we need the judiciary to have a section of it that will be constantly and consistently reviewing sentences, reviewing people being sentenced, people getting to prison, reviewing people even detained in police stations and cells.
According to them, to address this critical issue, the Nigerian judiciary, particularly within Lagos State, must implement a system of regular case reviews which should meticulously assess the length of time individuals spend in detention, ensuring that justice is not delayed and that human rights are upheld.
The arraignment of Honeywell Group Chairman Oba Otudeko and former First Bank Managing Director Olabisi Onasonya on a 13-count charge involving the alleged 12.3 billion naira fraud was stalled at the Federal High Court in Lagos on Monday due to their absence. The duo, represented by the counsel, argued that they had not been served with the charges. Oba Otudeko's lawyer, Bode Olanipekun SAN, informed Justice Chukwejeku Aneke that the defendants only learned of the planned arraignment through media reports last week. Other defendants in the case include a former Honeywell Flour Mills board member, Soji Akintayo, and Anchorage Leisure Limited, a company linked to Otudeko. Staying with developments in the courts, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arraigned Ahmed Kuru, a former managing director of the Assets Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, alongside 4 others over the allegations of defrauding Arraigns of 76 billion naira and $31.5 million US. The other defendants include Kamilu Omokide, a former receiver manager of Arik Airline Limited, Captain Roy Elegbodu, the airline's chief executive officer, Union Bank Limited, and Super Bravo Limited. Union Bank faces a single charge of making false statements to public officers, while the other defendants are charged with theft, abuse of office, and dishonest misappropriation of property in a 5-count indictment. All defendants pleaded not guilty during their arraignment. Counsel for Omodikide and Elegbodu, Tayo Osipiton SAN, informed the court of pending bail applications filed on November 28 and 29, 2024, urging the court to grant bail on liberal terms. And elsewhere, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arraigned, moving on, the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Association of Nigeria, Petron, has sounded the alarm over an impending fuel scarcity in Rivers State, citing disruptions caused by the Association of Disruptors and Transporters of Petroleum Products, distributors, and transporters of petroleum products. In a weekend statement by its spokesperson, Joseph Obele, Petron revealed that the crisis between Aditop and the petroleum transport drivers has led to the shutdown of the oil and gas sector in Rivers State since January 16, 2025. The association warned of severe economic consequences for both the state and the country if the situation persists. Petron has called on the Rivers State government to declare a state of emergency on the activities of Aditop, accusing the group of attempting to infiltrate the oil and gas sector without adherence to proper regulatory procedures. The association also alleges that Aditop is using River State as a testing ground for a planned nationwide expansion, urging immediate intervention to avert a full-blown energy crisis. Donald Trump has vowed to deport millions of individuals he described as, quote, criminal aliens who entered the country illegally. The 78-year-old, now the 47th President of the United States, made this declaration during his inaugural address on Monday after being sworn in, succeeding Joe Biden. Trump, alongside his Vice President, J.D. Vance, pledged to ensure that America will not, quote, forget God, and vowed to bring back free speech to America during his administration. This marks Trump's second inauguration, having previously served as the 45th President of the United States in 2017. Unlike his first term as a political outsider, this inauguration saw him surrounded by the nation's wealthy and influential individuals, including Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and Sundar Pichai, who were present alongside his family and cabinet members. In a gesture to restore tradition, Joe Biden, along with former Presidents Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, attended the ceremony. Former First Ladies Hillary Clinton and Laura Bush were also in attendance alongside Michelle Obama, who actually stayed away. Now, this contrasts sharply with Trump's answers at Biden's 2021 inauguration following his unproven claims of election fraud.
My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place, and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. From this moment on, America's decline is over. Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Over the past 8 years, I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you very much.
Well, let's try and make sense of Donald Trump's second coming as the President of the United States. Joining the conversation at this hour is Professor Jude Momodu of the Center for Peace and Security Studies at the Modibo Adama University in Yola. Prof, good evening to you, and thank you so much for taking the time. First of all, I'd like to get your initial thoughts about the quality and the content of the inaugural speech by Donald Trump. It's MAGA 2.0. What do you make of it?
Thank you so much for inviting me. I think we are seeing a very different Donald Trump compared to when he was the president in 2019. We are seeing a more strategic Donald Trump, a more coordinated Donald Trump. And if you look at the speech, although he was very clear about his policy objectives within the USA as a country and at the global level also. So I think the points you actually talked about today resonated with so many people who have long been looking for a change in the order of things in the U.S. particularly. They want those who want a well-ordered United States of America, and again within the global community also, I think we are now having the emergence of a new world order. So we are going to be seeing a lot of tension between the U.S. and China, and we are also going to, interestingly, we are also going to be witnessing a world that we'll be witnessing very few conflicts. And I'm very sure that we're going to witness some radical changes in the Ukraine and Russia war. Of course, U.S. is going to be providing weapons and support for Ukraine. That is very, very clear.
Right.
And Israeli and Palestine conflict, also, I'm sure that we're going to be witnessing another very different approach towards resolving that conflict. So again, I think his speech is very reassuring, and we just hope that he'll be able to do as well.
Right.
Said.
Yeah, he made some honorable mentions to some of the issues that you have raised, but in typical Donald Trump fashion, he also made some eyebrow-raising policy statements. I mean, he's quite clear about them during the first time when he was in office, about the border, about immigration and all of these things. The mass deportation programs that he also said is quite telling. But give me your thoughts about what he can reasonably achieve. I mean, he does sound like he has a magic wand that can make all of these problems go away. America's struggling economy, I mean, there are challenges with homelessness and all of these things. I mean, do you think he has what it takes to turn things around in the next 4 years? And what does his foreign policy mean for the rest of the world? Places like Nigeria, for instance.
Thank you so much. I think Donald Trump is an astute businessman. The last time when he was the president, I think the U.S. witnessed a rebound of the economy that had been performing poorly. So again, I think if you listen to what he said, for instance, the U.S. is going to be exploring oil, so they are going to be exploring oil. So it will come back again, and so that's very reassuring. So we are going to be witnessing a rebound of the U.S. economy that's already in crisis. So that's where I think more people who are out of jobs, I said they will get jobs. And so I think Donald Trump, being the kind of person, is very pushful, and he knows his audience, and I believe that the promises, the policy statement that he has demonstrated today, I'm sure that he's going to make sure that he sees them to fruition. And then what does his emergence as the new president of the United States of America mean for the globe? I think, as I said, we are going to be witnessing a new world order where collaboration will be replace chaotic relationship that we're witnessing today that has led to conflict between Israel and Palestine, Ukraine also, and Russia, and the tensions we are witnessing. But that's not to say that there won't be tension around the world. But then I think if you recall, when the last time I was questioned, I think there was stability in the world. In the world, so we are going to see that. And what does this emergence also mean for Nigeria as a country? Well, it depends. It depends on how our president or our government is able to reach out to the U.S. If we don't reach out to him and also know what we want to achieve from Donald Trump and be able to put forward, marshal our needs and interests to the government of that time, not going there in a beggarly manner, but to say we want this, we want to collaborate with you in this area, we need capacity in this area, we want to have a military partnership with you, we want to have a economic partnership with you. We want you to not going in a beggarly way, the way past leaders have been doing. So I think again it depends on how government is able to put forward its the interest of the country.
Right.
That will determine what we are going to get from the U.S. If we are unable to put forward our interest in a very strategic manner, we may not be able to enjoy like this or get something tangible for our country. So I think, by and large, I think a new world order has emerged with the emergence of Donald Trump, which will be very, very different from what we have seen from the Democrats that are, of course, you know what the Democrats start for, too much liberalism, and I think Donald Trump will reduce that liberalism that we are seeing today that has almost eaten up the USA. In the case of transgender that has become the order of the day in the US, and other policy that the Democratic government has been pursuing. Now, of course, you know that was what led to Kamala losing the election because people got fed up of the kind of policies they are pursuing. Instead of really pursuing policies that will make life better, improving the economy of the US. So, by and large, I think we expect that things will change for the better for the US. And you talked about the border also. Of course, no country will allow people to just come into your country anyhow. Like we are seeing every day, we see thousands of Mexicans and people from the South America wanting to enter America. If you leave your border open, your country will collapse. Like what we are seeing today, the US today is facing the pandemic of drug abuse in the US. I know that these drugs are produced from South America, so I think it's a good thing for the Trump to protect the border of Nigeria, border of the US. Today, we're having problems with that. Most of the challenges we're having today, terrorism and Boko Haram, is because of the loose borders we have. So the U.S. as a government needs to protect its borders, and ensure that the resources they have, the facilities, the amenities they have, are preserved for those in the U.S. citizens and those that have legitimate business in the U.S. So the countries, the government of those countries, of Mexico and others should come up with policies that also take care of their own citizens, also not opening their borders and allowing their people to pour into the U.S.
Right. Okay. I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there for now. Professor Jude Momodu, as always, a pleasure having you join the conversation, and we do appreciate your insight on this one. Thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
Right. Professor Jude Momodu there, Director, Center for Peace and Security Studies at the Modibo Adama University in Yola, speaking on the inauguration of Donald Trump, what that means for America and for the rest of the world as he takes over as the 47th President of the United States. You're still watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Still to come. Bauchi herders urge government to build more dams to help avert crisis. Details of this and many more stories up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news. Let's take another look at our top stories. Niger tanker explosion death toll rises to 98. NCC approves tariff hike by 50%. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Nigerian Economy, Wale Edun, has identified inflation as a primary challenge hindering efforts to stabilize Nigeria's economy. He made this revelation during his appearance before the Senate Committee on Finance, chaired by Senator Sani Musa. The minister acknowledges the significant impact of inflation on the nation's economic landscape, while emphasizing the need for strategic measures to curb rising costs and ensure economic stability. Here's the report.
The minister emphasized that inflation undermines economic reforms and growth efforts, making it a critical focus for the government in 2025 and beyond. Edun also highlighted measures such as boosting domestic food production and improved food accessibility for Nigerians. According to the minister, this surge has dampened expectations for a quick easing of monetary policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Inflation remains stubbornly high, and Central Bank is doing its utmost to ensure that it tames inflation so that living costs can come down.
Series of questions were fired at Edun by members of the Finance Committee on the state of the country's economy.
most importantly, for this year, 2025, this new year, what you intend to do differently, because clearly all that the government has been doing from 2023 till now has not worked. So it's good to hear what you have done, but we have not seen the practical results.
Looking at it also that the revenue to GDP have increased. In 2022-2021 was 7%. In 2023 became 9-point-something%, and now we have it at 10.5. That proves that the economy is working.
Find a way to alter this centralized working system and try to make sure that the windows of corruption are actually reduced minimally. We are Nigerians, we know who we are, we know what we are, we know what we do. In everything that we do, there are elements of this corruption.
Responding, Edu emphasized President Bola Tinubu's significant role in rescuing Nigeria's economy through bold reforms.
In his time, every penny spent has been earned or has been procured in the financial markets on willing buyer, willing seller terms. Because they believed in his macroeconomic plan, the multilateral institutions, the repositories of the cheapest money internationally, 40 years to pay back, 10 years moratorium, 1% interest. We approached them, they looked at our plan, and they believed in it, and they provided funding.
Following the extensive discussions, the committee approved the budget for the Ministry of Finance totaling 38.3 billion, which includes 2.4 billion for personal costs, 4.5 billion for overhead, and 27.4 billion for capital expenditure.
Those in support say yeah. And those against, the ayes have it. Please now, you can take your leave, Honorable Minister.
The approved sum comprises 2.4 billion for personal costs, 4.5 billion for overhead, and 27.4 billion for capital expenditure.
Staying in the National Assembly, the House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to increase the budgetary allocations for intelligence agencies and instructed the Minister of Finance to ensure the full disbursement of all outstanding 2024 budgetary allocations. At a budget defense session, the committee chairman, Ahmed Satomi, emphasized the importance of timely and adequate funding to ensure national security.
In the budget presented by President Bola Tinubu, the defense and security sector was allocated 4.91 trillion naira, thus underscoring the priority accorded to security in the 2025 budget. While commending the budget proposal, the committee said the intelligence subsector appears to be grossly underfunded going by the total allocation.
To also direct the Honorable Minister of Finance to, as matter of national security, prioritize the full release of all the outstanding 2024 budget allocation to the intelligence agencies and sustain the practice and prompt releases to them going forward.
Satomi also pointed out that key agencies such as the National Center for Counter-Terrorism, the National Institute for Security Studies, and the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons have not received any capital releases for both 2023 and 2024.
The intelligence subsector appears to be grossly underfunded, going by the total allocation of only 595 billion 24 million 943,368, out of which proposed capital expenditure allocation of 274 billion 550 million 298,453 overhead allocation.
Responding, a representative of the Personnel Service Office, Mohammed Danjuma, while acknowledging the challenges posed by the envelope budgeting system, reiterated that the proposed budget focuses on promoting collaboration, upgrading infrastructure, and strengthening personnel capacities to better tackle evolving security threats.
The intelligence community always assured the Honorable Committee of their commitment, transparency, accountability, and effective resource management by ensuring that the budgetary provision align with the government overall security objective.
As the tradition of budget defense of intelligence subsector, the committee thereafter went into a closed-door session.
The tax reform bill, currently under review by the National Assembly and expected to be passed in the first quarter of this year, continues to spark nationwide discourse. A coalition of northern women's groups has raised concerns in Kano State, emphasizing the need for lawmakers to prioritize the interests of Nigerians while moving forward with the reform bills. Now, while they express support for the reforms, the coalition urges legislators to ensure that the final bill is equitable and addresses the economic needs of all Nigerians. Abdulaziz Ibrahim has more from Kano.
The coalition of northern women groups urged the federal government to ensure inclusivity in the ongoing tax reform process to ensure that no group is shortchanged.
The policies do not exist in isolation. They are shaped by the people themselves. Let us ensure that this reform bill serves all men, women, rich and poor, urban and rural. Together, we can build a Nigeria where every woman, regardless of her circumstances, has the opportunity to thrive.
Although many attendees said they are unaware of how the tax reform bill will affect their lives, particularly in relation to consolidated taxes, concerns have been raised on the potential consequences of the changes.
Most of them do not really know much about the tax reform bill. But to the glory of God Almighty, they are now aware that issues concerning the tax reform bill is very important that their voices are heard. We want it to be on record that we are not totally against the reform bill, but we are saying that let the crafters of the bill spread out their consultation, especially to the grassroots. Let them hear the voice of the grassroots.
As the bill advances in the National Assembly, citizens hope lawmakers will prioritize their interests.
Nobody had ever condemned this tax reform bill in totality. We believe there are some parts of it that are for the benefit of Nigeria and Nigerians, and there are some parts of it that are detrimental and has detrimental consequences on Nigeria and Nigerians. For instance, we are still not comfortable with the VAT at the rate of 7.5%. Why will you collect taxes? Why will you collect VAT at the rate of 7.5% while we are suffering in the critical economic hardship that Nigerians are suffering? Let me remind you that today Nigeria peoples are no longer enjoying the situation they are.
It is not yet over because the National Assembly have their own role to play. The governors have done their own, but the National Assembly have to come back to ensure that other areas that are still there that will require, a very, kind of modification. They should play that role, because if they don't, they should be very, very conscious that citizens have now woken up. They are not going to take irresponsibility, from their representatives, and that every person should play his role to begin to make the country to come back to track, so that we begin to remedy some of the ills that have affected this country.
With the tax bill slated for passage in March and implementation by July, citizens expect fair resource distribution. The hope is that reforms will improve all sectors of Nigerian life and lead to better governance. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
The governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, has strongly condemned the recent attacks by insurgents in the state. During a sympathy visit to Baga local government area of the state, the governor expressed his concerns over the violence and called on affected communities to refrain from collaborating with terrorists. The governor emphasized that such collaborations only fuel insecurity and undermine efforts to restore peace across the state. Here's Trust TV's Beatrice Kurusi with more on the visit.
The visit of Governor Zulum to Baga is to sympathize with the community following the recent attack that left 40 farmers dead. The governor urged the community to engage in agricultural and fishing activities in locations approved by the military. He warned them against collaborating with the Boko Haram group. Thereafter, the governor inspected the 2,000-hectare solar-powered irrigation system in Baga. He revealed that the project will boost food security and sufficiency, a similar initiative that aligns with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
At the end of this project, people will benefit, and then costs of food production will be reduced to the barest minimal, since the project is being powered by solar system, and this will reduce the pumping costs, and this entails the overall reduction in the cost of production.
The governor, the German ambassador, and the UNDP country representative were also in Monguno to commission the 1,000 housing estate and 900 semi-permanent shelters for 1,874 IDPs, and also supported them with cash, food, and non-food items.
It is crucial to focus on addressing gaps in education, healthcare, poverty reduction, and economic opportunities to rebuild communities and foster long-term stability. Equally important is the effective reintegration of individuals returning from conflict zones, which is essential for ensuring lasting peace.
The German government is fully supportive of these plans. Germany has provided the largest contribution to the regional stabilization facility and has contributed to numerous other instruments working on rebuilding peace in the Lake Chad Basin, not least the humanitarian assistance that saves countless lives every day.
Governor Zulum commended the German government's support and explained that the housing projects are crucial to his resettlement plan. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Staying in the northeast, members of Fulani groups in Bauchi State has once again appealed to both the federal and state governments to help construct more earth dams along the national cattle routes. They emphasized that these dams would serve as vital water sources for their animals, particularly in light of the ongoing challenges related to water scarcity. The appeal was made during the annual livestock vaccination exercise held in Itasgadawa local government area of the state, where the Fulani groups also expressed their support for the proposed bill announced during the event. Trust TV's Adamu Imam has more.
The Fulani herders, who largely rely on cattle rearing as their major occupation, expressed concern over the proposed bill by the state government to address farmers-herders clash in the state. We do not have clearly defined cattle routes because they have been overtaken by our neighbors. We are constantly on the defense, and accessing drinking water for our cattle is very challenging. We have no choice but to move to areas where the conditions are more favorable for us. However, if the government could create more earth dams closer to us, it will significantly address some of our challenges and improve our situation. We always pray for peace to reign between farmers and herders in our communities. Despite the efforts for the authorities, we continue to appeal for harmony. We believe we are an integral part of this country, no matter where we find ourselves. We have traveled many kilometers to reach this place, and the climate keeps changing with each passing day. There is no water nearby, and when we stop to rest, we find that farmers have already occupied those areas. What can we do? We need peace at all times to move with our cattle. Emir of Katagun, Umar Farouk II, during the exercise advised Fulani herders to always eschew violence and acknowledge farmers as their partners in progress. I urge all Fulani herders to be patient with the state government because a bill has been sent to the State Assembly, and we are hopeful that it will surely reduce tension and grant some of your prayers. No doubt we have been experiencing clashes between farmers and others, but with these initiatives, it will be a thing of the past. Veterinary experts and stakeholders across the state were in attendance with religious leaders and other neighboring communities at the 2025 livestock vaccination exercise. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Back here and close to home, no fewer than at least 3 Nigerian universities and an Arabic language school are seeking partnership with Media Trust Group to highlight their programs and activities. The institutions include the Federal University Kashiri in Gombe State, the University of Maiduguri, Mudiba Adama University Yola, and the Nigeria Arabic Language Village in Gala in Borno State. During a courtesy visit to the management of Media Trust Group, the leaders of the institutions, led by Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Kashiri, Gombe State, Professor Umar Pati, lauded the contributions of Media Trust in producing unbiased journalism across its many platforms. In response, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Media Trust, Ahmed Shekaro, assured them of the organization's full support in helping them achieve their mandate.
Funding, technology, content, credibility, safety and freedom. These are the major issues which you can write a book on each one of them. And if you are a media chief, these are the headaches that you have to just address. And they've been able to understand this from the earlier days, and they have been coming up with strategies to see how they could live up to standards. So for us, we thank you for the good job you have been doing.
The university has been doing very well, and for the media aspect, you know, our radio will be upgraded to radio and television very soon. So we may be your competitors, but but truly we'll need your support and guidance going forward in setting up the TV, and we may even be having collaborations, if possible, for content and other things.
It's a big challenge for you to stay in this market and to sustain the good thing you are doing. I think you need prayers and you need support. We're going to pray for you and we're going to support you. And they are the only paper that I buy. You do used to read papers, but the only paper I buy is Daily Trust.
Recently, my council approved the establishment of the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies, which we hope will start by 2025-2026 session. So it's the area I want us to collaborate, because I don't want to talk much. You are in the media, and I want to establish a media outfit in my university. So this is why I want you to come to assist us in the training of the students in the areas of modern communication skills.
We actually have a small challenge. You know, I see it as small because it's something that perhaps, because we've actually sat down, we've not gone out to try to address it. Very long time ago, the founders of the company actually, established this, opportunity for automatic employment for mass communication graduates here. Best graduating students. Prof, you know that this exactly. Now, over time, I think some of the heads of the various departments in the particular institutions that have been identified, do not appear to know about this, and we've not actually reminded them. So you find out that, some of the students may go about.
To some of the day's other news, the Adamawa State Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has reported the seizure of at least 4,880.7 kilograms of illicit drugs and the arrest of 536 offenders, including 518 males and 18 females in the year 2024. The state NDLEA commandant, Agboalu Femi Samson, disclosed this at a press conference in Yola, the state capital. The confiscated drugs, including cannabis sativa, tramadol, diazepam, Exol 5, and codeine-laced substances, as well as methamphetamine, cough syrups, formalin, and other items, were also displayed. In legal matters, the command secured 148 convictions with sentences ranging from 3 months to 25 years, while 59 cases are still pending. The commandant emphasized the need for collaborative and collective responsibility in combating drug abuse for a healthier Adamawa state.
This arrest underscores the inclusive and non-discriminative nature of our operations. This is a testament to our commitment to ensuring that all offenders, irrespective of genders, are held accountable for their involvement in drug-related crimes.
Time now to join Yusuf Akogu, who has the latest on the markets.
Welcome to Stock Market Update. I am Yusuf Akogu. NGS opened the week in green due to late rallies by some medium-capped equities. Topping the gainers today is Cavity Helicopter. Cavity Helicopter gained 10% to close at 2 naira and 42 kobo per share. Namet Insurance also gained 9.91% to close at 3 naira and 77 kobo per share. SOA Motors also recorded 9.68% gain to close at 2 naira and 72 kobo per share as well. This has pushed up the index up by 0.02%. Volume of trade 1.25 billion shares, value at 16.35 billion naira. In the days of 11,477 did exchanges among investors. Looking at the top trading equities by volume, we have Wema Bank Nigeria PLC 976.6 million shares traded. Universal Insurance Company PLC 27.7 million shares. Of course, Zenith Bank Nigeria PLC 16.7 million of its shares were traded today. Of course, some equities ended on the losing side of the market. Leading the table is Unicel. Unicel down 9.99% to close at 14 naira and 6 kobo per share. John Hurt also down as well 9.63% to close at 9 naira and 20 kobo per share. NLCell Tech also down 8.99% to close at 81 kobo per share there. And that's the highlight of Nigerian stock market for today. Let's see the global stock market and exchange rate data. And that's Stock Market Update. I am Yusuf Akogu.
All right, let's take a look at developments on the international scene. 7 people lost their lives during a confrontation between soldiers and illegal miners at a mine in Ghana's Ashanti region. According to the military, a group of around 60 miners allegedly armed with pump-action guns and homemade weapons forced their way into the Anglo Gold Ashanti site and exchanged fire with soldiers, leading to the deadly response. A miners' representative denied that they were armed, raising questions about the events. News of the killings triggered chaos in the nearby town of Obuasi, where protesters set company vehicles and equipment ablaze. The Ghanaian government has launched an investigation into the incident, with President John Mahama vowing accountability for anyone found guilty of wrongdoing. Anglo Gold Ashanti, for its part, says the situation is now under control and assured collaboration with the authorities. And for the latest in sports, here's Emmanuel Fashemi.
SC Bukola Olopade has congratulated the Nigerian under-19 cricket team for their famous win over New Zealand at the ICC Under-19 Cricket Women's World Cup in Malaysia. The Nigeria Junior Female Yellow Greens, as the Nigerian under-19 team are fondly called, shocked the entire cricket world. Acting to the team's performance, the DG described the win as a famous one that will go down history as one of the sport's biggest upset. He said the result is also a testament to the kind of job the Nigerian Cricket Federation, through its president Uyi Akpata, has been doing to elevate the standard of the sport in Nigeria of club engagements. This is a result of Stade Malien, who suffered a 1-0 loss to CD Luanda of Angola, despite Enyimba's defeat to Zamalek SC of Egypt. With the results, Enyimba finished third in their group, while Stade Malien finished fourth. With the tie on the CAF coefficient table, Nigeria will move to number 12 on the table, while Mali will drop to number 13. The top 12 countries will produce 4 teams for continental football next season. And that is sports. I am Emmanuel Hashimi.
And that is it. You're up to date with the latest news stories for today. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Feel free to stay in touch with us across our social media platforms. You can also visit our website, trusttv.com, for the latest. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. As always, thank you for your time and good night.